Yo, what's up, world? It's your boy K Mitch, and we back for another episode of the Social Currency Podcast. Man, so look, this episode is predicated for my 9 to 5ers, man, for my hard workers out there that maybe want to take that leap of faith and provide the same equity that they provide into a corporation or a company for themselves and make themselves the millions that they making somebody else. So I brought none other than Houston's own Alex Soria from Xela Media. Alex, what's going on, bro?
Man, thanks for having me.
Oh, man,
Happy
I
to be here.
appreciate you stopping through, man. I know you busy, man. I know you from Philly to Cali to New York, but for you to take time, man, to stop through the Social Currency Podcast and just drop some game on investments and betting on yourself, bro, I definitely want to show my gratitude and appreciation for that. So before we dive into the interview, here at the Social Currency Podcast, we always make sure that we pay homage to our guests, So what we do is we give our flowers in two ways, right? So we're going to give you your rose, but we're going to also appreciate and acknowledge the fact that you were able to turn your pain into champagne. We didn't come from silver spoon backgrounds. We came from humble beginnings. And I know that we didn't get the best. We didn't start off with the best of hands, but for you to take the hand that you was dealt and turn it into what you turned it into, man, that's definitely something worth being acknowledged and appreciated. So on behalf of myself and the Social Currency Podcast, man, we definitely going to give you your roses. And we're gonna appreciate the fact that you turned your pain into champagne with some rosé, Moet Chandon. So you take that, man.
Appreciate that.
Enjoy that with the fam. If you want to pop it open, just hit me. If you hit me when you crack it, man. I'll come over there and toast with you, man.
Oh yeah. Appreciate
But man, let's dive right into it, man. So for the people who might not know who you are, just tell them who Alex Soria is and your background and what you come from.
I'm just a kid from Homestead. That's what I go by, man. I'm from born and raised here in Houston, Northeast. Pretty much my whole life I grew up in the same neighborhood. So went to the same elementary school in that neighborhood, same middle school, high school, basically the same neighborhood.
And what schools were those? Reference those schools just for our viewers out there who might be watching and might actually be at them same schools you went to.
I think they changed the name of my elementary, but it was Houston Gardens, right off of 610 and Homestead. It's by Lockwood. I think it's in between Lockwood and Wayside, if I'm right. But it was Houston Gardens and then Key Middle School.
Key, say man,
Key.
Boys remember Key. Boys used to, man. One of my best friends grew up in Trinity Gardens, man. We used to always go to the step shows at Key. So man, I already know.
It was right by the transit center.
Yes,
so
sir.
It was easy to get to. So
sir.
Key Middle School. Then I went to Cashmere High School. So spent my whole 4 years there, and then I went to TSU for 2 years. I pretty much had a full scholarship to go any Texas school. I was like a damn near top scholar in the whole United States.
That's what's up, bro.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
So So born and raised, same neighborhood. I didn't really get out of that neighborhood until my parents had moved. My dad took a job in St. Louis, and he's like, "Man, I'm leaving," and I had just graduated. I was at TSU. He's like, "We leaving." I was like, "Well, shit, my scholarship's for Texas school only, so I don't even know how the hell I'm gonna transfer." He's like, "Well, shit, I gotta go,"
He got to take care of business.
Yeah, he was
Pops
moving
had to
up.
stand on
He
business.
was moving
Yes,
up,
sir.
so it was a good move for him. So they moved. I ended up staying with my aunt. She stayed in the same neighborhood, so I was like, well, shit, I could still go to TSU, live with her for a little while. So parents gone, support system gone.
Yeah.
So then the real world hit.
So at an early age, you was forced to be able to just figure it
so
out.
I was 17 when I graduated, so I wasn't even 18 yet. So it was kind of hard to find a decent paying job. 17, you getting shop cart pushers, cashier jobs. Ain't no real money. So I ended up working part time while I was going to school, but then money wasn't adding up.
Of course,
so
like it always happens.
So I was like, well, shit, I'll take a semester off. Just work full time, stack up some money, find me a little spot. Never went back to school because I needed the money. So I got caught in that money. Got a little, a full paycheck. I ain't never seen no money like that as a kid. Once you start getting money,
it changed your whole perspective, and you want to maintain that and continue to build on that.
Yeah, so once I got that job, school kind of just went out the door. Ended up staying in the same neighborhood, kind of just, shit just didn't really move from there for me. But then once I started working, I kind of, the real world kicked in. I started to realize, shit, I'm waking up to do shit I don't want to do. I don't want to go to work. I was working at Family Dollar at the time, right in the neighborhood. They actually
Yeah.
built one right on the street that I grew up on.
So it was convenient.
yeah, I was working there, and then but I took my job serious. Like I ain't going there and bullshit or nothing. But I went in there. I think the manager noticed that. I think I was only there like 6 months. They ended up making me like they called it a key holder. They're like, we want to put you in a position.
I got the keys.
Yeah.
Keys open doors, baby.
So I
Keys
ended up,
open doors.
learning at that time a little bit of management experience. The manager kind of liked me, so I started learning a little managerial experience, and then I think what was it? That was 2003 when I graduated. I think shortly after that, things started kind of getting rough for me here. Started getting in trouble because I was still in the same neighborhood.
So you were susceptible to the things that were in your environment.
So
that was prevalent
that
in your
old
environment.
cliche of product of my own environment. That shit started happening.
Yeah.
I started getting into situations I knew I shouldn't have been in. So.
But the fact that you were where you were, it's like, man, it's hard to avoid it because then you got the influence of your peers saying, "Oh man, you ain't down for the hood.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't riding. You ain't whoop. So, but it was something I wanted, before we dive into the questions, it was something that you said. You said that once you got your first big paycheck, school was out the door, right?
Yeah, because school wasn't paying me. It was like, it was money real quick, I was like, well, shit.
So I want to ask you a question based off of that statement that you made. The youth now, they're so enabled to be able to monetize different things, right? Like they can monetize everything. Like everything can turn into money for them and can add value, right? So let me ask you this from the perspective on where you are now, looking back. If you had a choice to pick between the paycheck or going to school and getting the information, what would you continue? Would you still have done what you did, or would you have taken another route?
Man, that's kind of hard to say because, school is always a good option to me. I don't bash school, but I knew school wasn't really for me early on. Like,
Yeah.
I was really good at school. Like I mastered like every class I was in. Even in college, I had like a high GPA, passed all my tests. But I always knew that I had like, I had ambition. I always knew I wanted to own my own business.
Yeah.
At some point, and I just didn't like taking orders. And so I knew that, all right, I get this degree, and yeah, I do go to this maybe Fortune 500 company. Then I'm on their terms. So I've never been like a follower type of person. So I kind of seen the end of the road, and so I was like, I can stay here. I know I can do this, but I kind of got my own plan how I want to do things. So that's why I kind of steered away from school.
Gotcha.
And then when I did get the money, yeah, that did help me get out of that.
Got you. So for y'all that's watching, for the youth that's watching, man, what I got out of that and what I hope you got out of it was just know who you are. Sometimes it may be beneficial to go and chase the check, but sometimes it may be more beneficial for you to get the information and equip yourself with the information necessary to then go and get the check. But the basis of either premise is to know who you are and know what you're trying to do and know what you're trying to accomplish. Because if you don't know who you are, then you're susceptible to going down the wrong path, and it's going to take you a lot longer to get to where it is you're trying to get to. So just be able to self-identify and know who you are. But just speaking on that, to piggyback off of that, man, explain to the people how you went from working at ACS as a wire puller to starting your own business, which is now profiting $60K a month in gross revenue. That's major, bro.
Yeah, so it's been a long road. Shit, I told you I graduated in 03. That's when my parents moved to St. Louis. So I stayed down here, ended up dropping out of school in like 05. I stopped going to TSU. Then I gave it a shot. I was like, well, shit, I'll go to St. Louis, stay up there for a little while. That was like in 06. Went up there to St. Louis. My dad was he was like a high manager up at 24 Hour Fitness, so he plugged me in with a job, and they threw me into sales. So I had started like a little sales job selling like gym memberships.
Got you.
So I picked up on that, and then I ain't never had a sales job before. So what's crazy about it is the general managers was a sales guy named Kevin Edwards. I'll never forget this dude. They had like a little private training where they would bring all the counselors in. This dude was like jaw dropping. Like when he got up and gave a speech, you was like, what the fuck?
Captivating.
This dude was like, game changer type of dude. Like, so that shit like immediately like flipped the switch for me. And so I just soaked up all the like game from him, like the way he moved about business and sales and everything. We was just selling memberships. It wasn't no big deal, but just the process and the way he moved about business, I kind of seen that, and that shit, you know,
So
like I
you
say,
read
flipped the
between the
switch for me.
lines,
Yeah,
just
yeah,
being
yeah.
a sponge, you were able to get the subliminal information that he was giving, not just about the memberships,
Yeah, yeah.
but just about how he went about his business and about sales and about
How to be
generating
professional,
revenue.
basically. Because,
Yes,
like
sir.
I said, I grew up in the same neighborhood my whole life. Never seen nothing outside of pretty much a 5 mile radius. Again, internet wasn't really big in '03, so we was just kind of we only knew what was in our neighborhood
Yeah.
or what we seen in magazines or movies. So it wasn't really no professional influence within our neighborhood other than maybe a truck driver or
Or
somebody.
somebody cutting
Yeah,
grass or
so
some shit like that.
so from in my neighborhood, we was like the only Hispanic family, like I say, within like a 5 mile radius, basically, and everybody else it was all black.
Yeah.
For me, from elementary all the way through college. So
And that influenced everything that you did
yeah,
and how you moved. Because I
yeah.
remember we were having lunch last week preparing for today, and I remember you told me all your girlfriends was black prior to like your wife now. You know what I'm saying? Which is crazy, right? Because
Yeah.
it just shows you the power of influence, right? Like, even with you being the only Hispanic family in that neighborhood, the influence that the neighborhood and the community had on you that may have had you go against your family values or morals or something that y'all were actually used to doing, but it's just that influence is a motherfucker.
So what's crazy is once I kind of got pulled and uprooted out of my neighborhood and they moved me to St. Louis, that shit was like a culture shock, man. Like being around, I ain't never been around white people like that. Like, and then just seeing like a whole different, it was like a whole different world. Like I didn't know what the hell Starbucks was. Like people, it was just like a whole different world.
Yeah.
But me, I've always been, and to this day, like a chameleon. Like you can put me anywhere,
And
I'm a blend in. Like
Yeah.
you would think I belong there,
Yeah.
and I could just go about it. That's how like I am where I am today, because that's a skill. Like
Yeah.
you got to be able to
It's,
blend
it's
in.
definitely a skill.
You got to adapt, and it's not so much like being fake or playing like it's you got to know your surroundings.
And that's one of the most beneficial traits that we have as human beings is being able to adapt, right? Like a dog can't be nothing else but a dog.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but as humans, we have the ability to adapt in whatever environment that we go in to allow ourselves to excel. But it's just we have to exercise the ability to be able to adapt. So the fact that you said that was powerful, bro, for real.
Yeah, so seeing that, man, and I stayed up there for a year. I hated it because it wasn't what I knew. But what I took out of that was different experience, different, like I said, different culture, a different way of seeing life outside of my neighborhood. So going out there and seeing like, damn, it's really more than just my neighborhood out here. So when I got back, I had moved back like after a year because I hated it up there. Came back, I was like, man, forget that. I'm going back home. Came back here, started again working just a little regular bullshit job, dead end job basically, and then ended up getting back into the street life. So ended up, doing illegal shit.
Like
Me and my
everybody.
cousin was roommates. We had a little apartment in Pasadena. We was both, making money, and then he goes to prison, and so I'm by myself again. So I was like, damn, I can't be living like this. So I had an older cousin that hit me up. He was like a manager at that company, ACS.
Yeah.
So he was they was pulling like data wire, internet wire, and fiber optics. This is when fiber optics started like really. They was building the infrastructure at that time. So my cousin was with a company where they were just running nothing but underground cable, pretty much connecting the the upcoming lines for Xfinity and AT&T. So they was
Gotcha.
building the infrastructure back in '07. This is like 15 years ago. So anyways, he got me in as a helper at that job, and I'm out there pulling wire in the
How
sun.
much was you making as a helper,
Man,
bro?
at that time, it was $11 an hour. But at that time, it was decent
11,
money.
11. You was like, okay, I can rock
do
with
this.
it. Yeah.
I was like, I thought I came up because I think at the time, they was paying like $8 an hour everywhere you went, $8, $9 an hour. So 11, 12, I was like, shit, I'll take that. Went, started working with him. Just, it was cool because I was with my cousin. We chilling, working. I did that job for maybe about a year or two. And then I'll never forget one day we was at a building at the Chase Tower downtown Houston. I'll tell you about this. We was they call it terminating the jacks, basically those little data ports that you plug your computer into. So we used to have to run those, drop them down the wall, and then they call it terminate, just get it ready for the customer to plug in.
Plug in, yeah.
So I'm under the desk terminating that jack. we working like overnight. I'm tired. I'm like, man, I'm terminating that jack. And I seen a piece of paper behind the desk. I picked the paper. I was like, oh shit, it's a check stub. I said, what the hell? This shit say year to date. The year to date was like almost 2 million, and we like in June.
Year to date,
We in June. This dude already made 2 million
from January to June. He 2 M's in on the books.
So
and you rocking, and you right here wiring the same building that he made 2 million in 6 months. Mm-hmm. You wiring the building for $11 an hour. So how did that change your perspective?
When I seen that, I was like, damn, what am I doing? Like, why not me? Like at that point, it was like another switch went off. Like, damn, I'm really under this desk making $11 an hour, and this dude here, he pushing buttons on. And
you working overnight while he at the crib probably chilling.
Yeah. So at that point, I was like, man, there's got to be more to this. So I just started, like I said, I didn't quit my job or anything, but I liked the field I was in. I was always gravitated towards tech and stuff like that. So in that field we were in, we were running the wires for computer systems, data systems. We worked at a lot of hospitals. I don't know if you know, hospitals got these closets called IDF closets. So basically you go in a closet and there's nothing but like server racks. Basically the brain of the whole,
to serve hospital. Like the monitors that show your pulse and all that shit, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what the doctors see, but in the backside, you just got a server rack. This is basically just like the brain of the hospital. Everything's operating.
Without that, it ain't.
Without, you usually pull one plug out and the whole hospital goes down. And those rooms, that's why you don't ever see or hear about them. They're locked up. But yeah. So we used to like do stuff in there. That shit was always like, I used to like it, So again, wire puller, I started off as. Then I started to see what my lead man was doing. I was just paying attention because everywhere you go is a pyramid structure. You got, the people at the bottom working. You got people above them telling them what to do. And it just keeps going all the way up. So me, at an early age, I always knew there's some sort of structure. And I used to tell myself, what can I do to move up this structure? I want to get to the top, and learn more stuff. Of course, we want to make more money, but I also want to learn, so I can
acquire the information, the knowledge.
So I would always kind of see what was going on above me and kind of learn. And that's how I learned the industry. I learned, the wire pulling. I learned how to terminate it. Then I started learning what to do in the server racks, how to connect all that stuff. And it just keeps going from there. So I stayed in that industry for a long time, moving my way up. If I couldn't move up at a certain, job or wherever I was at, then I already had the knowledge that I can, translate or go to another company.
Go somewhere else.
And so if I wanted the next position above me, and a lot of companies have politics, a lot of companies you go to,
of course,
you can't
seniority is valued more so than the actual value of the employee and what they bring to the company.
Exactly. So as long as you got value and you bring value to somebody else, you'll always, be in demand. So me, I soaked up all the knowledge I could. I would always go to another company and say, hey, look, this is what I know, this is what I can do, and this is what I'm looking for. I would always shop myself around.
And the knowledge that you soaked up ultimately made you more valuable when you went to other places, right?
Yeah, so, and I always was attracted to smaller companies because in smaller companies, you're going to learn a lot more because they're either coming from the ground up and everybody's doing everything. So you get to kind of see everything in motion. From the ground level all the way to what the main dude's doing. So smaller companies I was always attracted to because I get like I said, get to see everything, how it's moving. So you can learn faster that way when you're wearing multiple hats, So there was one company I linked up with in Sugarland, and that's kind of what put me where I'm at today. It was a smaller company. They did what I do. So I started off as a technician helping the guy out. But he's like, man, this dude got good customer service. So he said, hey, Alex, I want you to run my office. So I was like, all right, shit, I could do that. I've been in sales before, so I know how to talk to customers, had that, experience. So he's like, I want you to run the office. So got out of the field, didn't do no more field work, started doing like running his office. So at that point, I learned the operation side of everything. Gotcha. I learned how to, do the billing with the customers. And then at that point, man, sales at 24-Hour Fitness, I mean, you selling memberships for like, $40, $50 a month. You may be selling a personal training packages like $1,000 or $2,000. But once I got over to that company, I'm turning over an invoice and getting checks from customers for like $20,000, $30,000.
So you up the
50,000.
game. You up
Yeah,
the ante
so
on them.
I was like, damn, people really got money like this.
Yeah.
Like so,
It's just that exposure.
yeah. So
Yeah.
same process. And there's a saying like if you're gonna do sales, you might as well do high ticket sales because it's the same process.
It's the same process.
You gotta take care of your customers' needs. You gotta provide them what they're looking for. So it's the process.
Product knowledge, all that. Yeah.
So it's the same process. So why not do like high ticket sales?
To be able to cash out the most, right? For
Yeah,
yourself
so-
and your family.
Yeah. So once I started working at that company, I learned all the insides of how the operation side ran. And so with that experience, I didn't knew the field work and the operation side. So I was like, shit, I could do this on my own. I'm basically running the company. I started paying attention. I was like, damn, the owner always on vacation. Like I'm here running this.
Because he know you got everything, you equipped with everything necessary to make sure that it keep running.
So I ended up pretty much running the dude's business for like 3 or 4 years. He ended up moving to Colorado. He made so much bread. He left. He left the industry. He ended up selling his company. Some new people took over. I didn't want to work with them because I already kind of seen where that was going. Ended up leaving. And so from there, I kind of floated around doing sales for other people. And I always just ran into the same instance where I would work for a company doing their sales. I would see them blow up. Same shit. The owner would get content. He's doing good. So why grow?
It's no room for internal growth for you.
That's where I drew the line in the sand. I was like, it's time for me to make a move on my own.
So understand your value, because Alex understood the value that he was bringing to these companies, and he decided that, hey, man, he got tired of making them millions when he can make himself the same amount of money that he making them. So understand your worth, man. Understand your value, man, and appreciate that and acknowledge that. We underappreciate ourselves too much. You know what I'm saying? And we give the next man the benefit of the doubt, but we gotta start over appreciating ourselves and understand the value that we bring. Before we get into the next question, it was something that you said, bro, that I want to hone into, right? So when you was under that desk and you found that check stub and you seen the year to date was 2 M's, and it was something that you said, but I didn't quit my job.
Yeah, I didn't quit my job because I knew ain't no way I'm going to get to that 2 M's just like by making a decision. It's got to be, I got to figure out how I got to get there, and it's going to take a little time. So that's why I said I didn't quit my job. But everywhere I've ever worked, I've always took pride in what I did. I didn't give a damn if I was making a box on the assembly line or whatever the case.
Your box was gonna be the best box out of everybody.
I was gonna be the fastest box maker on that.
Taking pride in what you do, man.
So that's what I did. I've always took pride in what I did. Always been competitive, and people notice that. People see that. Whether you're dealing with a direct customer and they see, all right, they could tell if you care about what you do, or if you got pride in what you do.
Yes, sir.
And so I always, no matter what I did, even if I didn't like the job, I always went in, busted my ass, did what I had to do. But I always took it as a learning experience. So to me, I value time more than money. So I took jobs where I was there to learn. It wasn't so much I needed that money or I was going there for the money. I went there because, all right, they about to pay me, but they don't know they training me.
Yeah.
And so I always went in with that mindset that, all right, they're paying me. I need to learn. I need to figure out the ins and outs of this business.
Because time is more valuable than money. You can walk out this building right now and drop $200, but you can go make it back, but you can't get tomorrow back.
Oh, yeah,
tomorrow gone, and you'll never get that back.
Yeah, I got a lot of family that work in the refineries, and they be making like $50, $100, $200 an hour, and they be, Alex, come on, man, I'll get you in. This was a while back, but to me, it ain't the money for me. I value my time more than anything, man.
But you got to be able to put yourself in position to allow your time to value you.
Exactly. So that's what I always did. I used to always figure out, all right, what are my expenses? What do I need to live by? And that's all I need, really. And I got to figure out what I got to do to get that out the way. So then I got time to focus or do what I want to do, to build something for myself. So that's what
building something for yourself is basically investing in yourself. Yeah. So, and that's a perfect segue into my next question. Explain to the people why it's so important to invest in yourself. Because like I said, when we were having lunch, you told me that you ran a $300 Facebook ad campaign, and then that equated to a client calling you and spending $25,000 with you, with your company. So explain to everybody who are watching, like, why is it so important to invest in yourself? Because you got rappers out here that say they want to rap, but they trying to bargain for studio time, yet they go into the Galleria and spend $4,000-$5,000 on clothes to look like they got it, but don't really got it. When they drop a song, they don't want to pay these platforms to promote the platform. They just think that, hey, you should just promote it because I'm rapping, but it's 1,000,000 people that's rapping like them. So why is it so important to invest in yourself?
Man, that's the only thing you should be investing in is yourself for one, and, and knowledge is the center of everything, man. Knowledge is the key to getting out of poverty for real.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta know stuff.
And that's why I asked you what I asked you
Yeah.
earlier about if you could have looking where you at now and the perspective that you have now, would have continued to go into school even though you got that first check that you had never seen before, right? Because it seemed like it's all coming full circle because everything that you've acquired has come from the knowledge that you've acquired. You know what I'm saying? So that's really why I asked you that question.
Yeah. No, investing in yourself is definitely like to this day, man. I read books all the time. If I'm getting like information from podcasts or man, there was a time before I started my company. There was a time where I ain't even listen to the radio. I ain't even listen to music. I'm just straight dialed in on podcasts, whether it's crafting my sales, skills, whether it's crafting how to talk to like high end customers. Like it's practice. Like I'm practicing. Like there was, like I said, no music at all. Like I'm in the car listening to podcasts. I'm reading books, watching YouTube videos. You got to really like invest in yourself.
You was
and your
mentally
knowledge.
fit.
Yeah, you got to, man.
People don't understand that your diet is not just what you consume edibly,
Shit,
right? Like
hell no.
it's what you listen to, it's what you watch. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just all of that encompasses your overall diet. So you was mentally fit.
Yeah. There's people that like when I would get off my job, like working at places I didn't want to work at, it's easy to go out and just, go party on the weekend.
Go
'cause
have
you
a
got your
beer.
check. Nah, man.
Or you escaping your reality, right? I feel like most people in the club, they escaping their reality. So from Friday to Sunday, you can live vicariously through somebody that you idolize because you see that they able to do this on a day-to-day basis. So you go in the club, you pay a 300% increase on a bottle that you don't know damn well you shouldn't be paying this amount of money for this bottle for. But this is temporary pleasure to allow you to escape your actual reality that you miserable in.
Yeah. So yeah, in my free time, I was trying to figure out how to set up the future, basically.
Make your reality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everything that you wanted plus some.
Yeah. So it's still to this day. I mean, shit. I'm still reading to this day. I got a book right now that I'm reading. Like I'm always on top of like learning stuff. Like that's what I love to do. I love to learn. I love soaking up knowledge, information. Like that's one thing I've always been attracted to. That's why shit. That's like podcasts, like this podcast. This gold right here.
Yeah.
This gold, man.
Yeah. Well, appreciate that, man. You know what I'm saying? Without people like you, man, we wouldn't be where we at. You know what I'm saying? We just here to give the currency to the people socially to be able to change their perspective. I was at a Black Man Summit over the weekend, and a keynote speaker said something that really struck a bell to me. He said, you can't change your past, but you can always change your perspective. You know what I'm saying? So that's basically the premise of this platform, is just to allow people to understand that the way that you think may or may not be wrong, or may not be right? Understand? But you also got to be able to see things from a different lens to be able to adapt and change your perspective to tweak it. Maybe you on the right track, but you got the wrong perspective, and just somebody like you to come on here and give the game and the knowledge and the information that you have can light that fire or initiate that spark for them to take it to the next level. You know what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
Man, so my boy said he was working $12 an hour. Now he started his own business, generating $60,000 in monthly revenue for himself. Man, if that's not inspiring, bro, I don't know what is. You know what I'm saying? That's inspiration in itself. You know what I'm saying? So, man, you work with some pretty high-profile clients. I know James Harden is one of your main clients. Shout out to James Harden, even though he left the H-Town and went to Philly. You know what I'm saying? We still rocking with you, bro, so shout out to James. You work with Case Keenum as well. So tell the people out there who tuned in right now, how do you get affluent and prominent people to see the value in your service or your product that you're offering to the public?
Man, I tell my customers, like, I mean, I got customers like I said, I've been doing this for like 15 years, so I've built rapport with customers over time. And of course, as long as you deliver on your customers' expectations, they're always gonna call you back. So you know, there's a lot of companies that sell what I sell, and I always tell my customers is, hey, look, me and the next company we sell the same stuff. The only difference is me, and that's the key.
Say that again. Say, hey man, rewind, bro. Say that
That's
again,
why.
bro.
So
Hey
I tell
man.
the customer, hey, they see the ticket price, and they say, hey, well, what's the difference between this and this other company? I tell them, hey, we all sell the same shit. The only difference is me. You getting me?
He understand the value that he
Yeah.
bringing to the game.
Yeah, so with high profile clients, they just don't want anybody in their house. They can't trust they just can't trust anybody. So as long as you build trust with them, they're always gonna call you back. But then they also got their own circle of people too. So if they have company over and they see this stuff, they're like, damn, who did this? Call my boy Alex. So I get most of all my business is referral based.
Word of mouth,
Yeah.
which is ultimately social currency.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Most of
Like,
all my business is referral based.
but how do you establish that level of trust, right? Like, what do you do as Alex to be able to establish the trust of a James Harden or a Case Keenum or somebody like that? Like, what are the necessary ingredients for a person to notice that? Like, man, you know what? I can trust him in my house with my family or with my kids lay their head.
I think for one, it's just being genuine, man. Just being who you are, and they're just gonna, like, I've known James for like probably like 10 years now, and every time I've ever been around him or at his house, like when I first met him, like everybody that was doing something there, like whether it's like a guy delivering appliances or it's a pool guy or anybody, they always run up to him, hey, can I get a picture? Can I get a picture, man? Like to this day, I ain't never asked James for no picture.
Yeah.
Like I've known him for 10 years. Like I ain't never asked. Like I don't know, it just ain't me. And I think he appreciates that.
Because they get that so much.
Feel normal. Yeah,
they get that so much in that reality. So for a person to be able to come and provide a service and allow them, the person who's receiving the service, just to be normal, who doesn't have to really continue to stand in that light that he's in all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what allows him to drop his guard and let that wall down. And he's not in a defensive mode. He's just more in a...
That and most high end clients, they usually have like an assistant, executive assistant, or somebody that handles all their, things for them. But with a lot of my clients, it's direct. Like they call me direct, and that says a lot. That they don't want no mediator in between them. They just want to get direct.
Yeah.
So I think they appreciate that.
That's dope.
And if they go with like a Best Buy or somebody,
there's
like
no relationship there.
There ain't no relationship because the guy is just it's a job. So that guy might be leaving or might be gone after a couple months. Best Buy is closed after 7 p.m. They ain't answering the phones.
So if something happened at 9:30, 10 o'clock,
so you having a big party and something happens,
can't
I'm
troubleshoot it.
FaceTime away and I can fix it. So that's another thing that kind of separates me from.
And I always tell people, man, because I coach my son's basketball team, and I tell kids all the time, the best ability is availability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't care what you can do, but if you're not available to do it, then it means absolutely nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you make sure that you're available all the time, man, that's what also gives your brand equity, gives you equity as a person, and continues to allow your business to thrive and excel and exceed. So, man, that's dope, bro. So if you could give one piece of advice to somebody right now who at work watching this podcast right now, he clocking, he punched the clock at 8:39 this morning. And when he punched the clock, he sat in his car before he punched the clock like, damn, I don't want to be here. He really got dreams and aspirations of doing something that he's really passionate or she's really passionate about. What advice would you give them right now today?
You got to come up with a plan. You got to come up with an exit plan. You got to have if you hate where you at now, you got to figure out, all right, how am I going to get out of this? And what am I going to do to get out of this? And what am I willing to do? So, if you're going to start something, you got to kind of see how you're going to go about it. So you just got to be 100% dedicated. It might be somebody that has something on the side they've been working on, and they think they're ready. Most people just are always scared to just leave the normal job and go take that chance. And so if you really put in the time and, like, you think you're ready, the next move is make it happen. Like, it's action. You got to take action. And that's one thing I can say I regretted the last, 10. I've been ready to jump out on my own for like the last 5-6 years, but
You never took the
I
action.
didn't really have the courage to take that, because most people have got bills that are due every month. They might got a family they're supporting, so they're scared to take that chance. So as long as you craft your skills and you dedicated and you ready to make the move, all it takes is just making that move.
Just make the move. Just jump
go.
out the porch.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. I always say, man, proper planning prevents poor execution. If you plan properly, because I think what people who have a comfort zone with the job, because that's all the job is, it provides a comfort zone, right? But people who have a job, and they want to jump off and do something that they're really passionate about, they're planning for the ideal time, right? Like, okay, when I can do X, Y, and Z, then I'm gonna go. But X, Y, and Z ain't gonna never come to pass, bro. Because the universe ain't structured like that. It's not structured for everything to go according to plan for you to execute your plan. You gotta have faith. You gotta plan properly, but then understand that, hey, everything ain't lined up. All the stars didn't align the way I wanted, but I'm so confident in my preparation and my planning that I'm gonna just jump off the porch now, and I know it's gonna work.
You gotta jump, man. I think Steve Harvey, I had listened to a little thing he did, and he's like, you can't fly unless you jump off the cliff. You won't never know until you jump off.
I'm telling you.
So, like I always said, like worst case scenario, if it don't work out for me,
you got that comfort zone.
Yeah, I go back to the job
and replan, re-strategize, right?
So yeah, ain't no going back.
Well, man, man. Well, we appreciate you stopping through the Social Currency Podcast, man, dropping this game. Hey, if you at work right now and you listen to my boy Alex, man, hey, take action. The world is built off vibration. The universe is built off vibration. Vibration is movement, and movement is action. So without action, you have nothing, man. So if you want something to happen, man, you got to make it happen, man. You got to be the manifestation to your dreams, to turn your reality into your dreams, man. But until the next episode, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Hit the link in my bio on Instagram, the Social Currency Podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Man, we're going to keep giving you game. We're going to keep changing perspective, right? Because you can't change the past, but you can always change your perspective. So until the next episode, this your boy K. Mitch. It's the Social Currency Podcast. We want to thank Alex Soria from Xela Media for stopping in. If you got any AV questions, audio, video, anything related to that, you can follow my boy on Instagram at, where can they follow you?
It's at Xela Media. It's Xela Media at Xela Media.
Hey man, and if you need some of them badass speakers or some TVs or some projectors in your movie room that you can control from an iPad, man. Hey, holla at my boy, man. He gonna come hook you up, man.
We got some stuff right now called Josh AI. Like you can live like Iron Man. Like you can just walk in the house. You ain't gotta say Alexa. You just tell the house what to do and it's doing it.
Hey man, I know y'all like that fly shit, so y'all tap in with Xela Media. He gonna get you right for all your AV needs and necessities, man. But again, it's your boy K. Mitch. Hey, shout out to my boy Grade A Dre, cause we powered by game always, every day, 24/7, and even on Sundays, man. So again, y'all tap in, man, and we're gonna keep bringing it to y'all the way we bringing it to y'all. But